What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. It's time for my way too early New Year's 6 predictions. If you missed it yesterday, I did give my way too early playoff predictions, and we also did our way too early top 25. And like I've said in those videos, it's really too early to be doing this. There's so much to go through in the offseason, evaluating these teams, and we don't even know what the rosters are going to look like for a lot of these teams. So it's too early to be doing this, but we're going to do it anyways just for the fun of it. And again, I'm expecting my actual preseason predictions to change from this, but just my thoughts early on. I tell you what, it's tough to do this right now because I think you run into this problem every year. You've got like 15 teams that you think could go 11-1 or 10-2. They're not all going to do that. If you just look at the history of college football, you don't have that many 10-win teams in the regular season. So it's just not going to happen. But figuring out which teams are going to maybe not be as good as you think is probably the tougher thing to do than figuring out which teams are going to be better than you think. A lot of teams that I considered here, it was really tough in the Pac-12. That was probably where I had the biggest problem. Is I think you've got 4 really good teams there, but I think they're all going to beat up on each other. We might only see one of them actually make it to a New Year's 6 bowl. So let's jump right into it. And we will start with the playoff games. Again, I talked about this yesterday. If you missed my video, I have Georgia there. I have Penn State losing only one game, 11-1. They get in as the 4 seed. Georgia going undefeated. They get in as the 1 seed. And I think I kind of have Georgia, maybe beating Alabama in the SEC championship, or maybe LSU. I could even see Alabama losing a couple of games this year. Maybe LSU goes again to the SEC championship because I think the Tigers are going to be sitting there at probably 11-1 with one loss coming to Alabama. Again, that's a very early prediction. That may change. But Georgia getting that 1 seed, they will play Penn State again in my way too early predictions. And then on the other side, Michigan and Notre Dame. I've got Michigan going undefeated. Well, no, I have Michigan losing to Penn State, losing 1 game, but winning the Big Ten championship. That's going to get them up to that 2 seed. And Notre Dame losing only 1 game. Maybe that road game against Clemson. They also have USC on the schedule, Ohio State, which for these way too early predictions, I've actually got Notre Dame beating Ohio State. I don't know if I'll stick to that prediction, but that's what I've got right now. And again, this will be the 2-3 matchup in the Rose Bowl. How about the tradition in this game? The tradition of the Rose Bowl and then the tradition of the Michigan-Notre Dame rivalry. That'd be a great matchup there. Would love to see it. I don't know if it's going to play out that way. But now we get to the other New Year's 6 bowls. And another thing that makes it tough this year. So last year, in 2022, it was very easy to do New Year's 6 predictions because every bowl pretty much had a tie-in with the conference. And then you had the games that usually have all the at-large teams. Those are the semifinal games. So this year it's opposite. It's the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. Those are the playoff games, and those are the games with the tie-ins. The Sugar Bowl, of course, normally has the Big 12 and the SEC. The Rose Bowl normally has the Pac-12 and the Big 10. So now you've just got a free-for-all, basically. The only requirement really is the Orange Bowl taking the ACC champ, and then the other team in the Orange Bowl has to be Big 10, SEC, or Notre Dame. Other than that, you can mix and match and make the matchups however you want them based off of the rankings. So I had to just kind of figure out which teams, the 8 teams that would go to those bowl games, and then I just matched them up with what I thought the playoff committee would do. So we'll start with the Orange Bowl. So I think I have Florida State right now winning the ACC. I think they lose to Clemson in the regular season, win a rematch in the ACC championship, and they go on to the Orange Bowl. And then you got Big 10 or SEC. I've got Alabama going here out of the SEC. A 10-2, maybe 11-1 team, or 11-2 if they go to the SEC championship. I think Alabama will be there in position to make it back to a New Year's 6 bowl. And so we get Alabama versus Florida State. Pretty good matchup there. And I think it would be a good game. I really do. So that's the Orange Bowl matchup. Then we go to the Cotton Bowl. This one will be fun. Ohio State and LSU. I originally was going to put LSU in the Orange Bowl and Alabama in the Cotton Bowl because I think they would love to see, the committee would love to put Alabama and Ohio State in a bowl game here. But are they really going to put LSU and Florida State in a bowl when they've already played during the regular season? They've actually played the last 2 years. So because of that, I think they probably put Alabama in the Orange Bowl, again, in the scenario that I have in my way too early predictions here. So Ohio State, they make it in as an at-large, a 10-2 team. LSU sitting there at 11-2, or maybe even 11-1. I tell you what, if they go 11-1, it's going to be hard to not put them in that 4 spot versus Penn State. I think LSU probably would be the team to go there, especially if they have a win over Florida State and their only loss comes on the road at Alabama. But that's definitely an interesting debate if it plays out that way. So we'll say LSU wins the West, and then they lose to Georgia in the SEC championship, and then we get this matchup: Ohio State, LSU in the Cotton Bowl. Definitely a fun one there. And then we move on to the Fiesta Bowl. So I've got Oklahoma and USC here. I've had a really hard time with the Pac-12. I don't know if I'll stick with USC, but right now that's going to be my pick to win the Pac-12. It could be Oregon, Washington, Utah. All 4 of those teams have, I think, a great shot. And then you never even know. Oregon State, UCLA, maybe a team like that could sneak in there. But I think that conference, once again, they're going to beat up on each other, and you're not going to have any one-loss teams coming out of the Pac-12. So I think USC, they win the Pac-12. They go to the Fiesta Bowl. And I've got Oklahoma winning the Big 12. I really like what they have coming back. I think they'll make some strides in year 2 under Brent Venables on the defensive side of the ball. And so I think right now they're probably my pick to win the Big 12. But that one is wide open. Texas definitely in that conversation. TCU, once again, I think they have a really good shot. Kansas State, they could be in there. Baylor even. I think Baylor's gonna probably be much improved this year. So that Big 12 is wide open. Right now my pick is Oklahoma, and we would get a good one here in the Fiesta Bowl. How about them? I didn't even think about this when I was setting up these matchups. How about Lincoln Riley going up against Oklahoma? Okay, now I want this matchup to happen. This is what we need in one of the New Year's Six Bowls. Oklahoma, USC in the Fiesta Bowl. That would be a lot of fun. So now we go to the final New Year's Six Bowl. Let's see what's left. We've got the Peach Bowl. All right, so I've got Clemson versus Tulane here. When you look at the Group of 5 team, I mean, I have not done the research. There might be a team that emerges once we get through the entire offseason, but Tulane looks like the team that has a good shot to maybe get back to a New Year's Six Bowl. That program's in a great spot right now. They bring their quarterback back. And remember, Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, they're off to the Big 12, so they're not going to have a chance to beat this team. And those are teams that traditionally, kind of in the running. Maybe it's a team out of the Mountain West. Maybe it's a team out of the Sun Belt, Coastal Carolina with Grayson McCall coming back. And we'll see how that plays out. But just a way too early prediction. I'm just going to make the easy pick and go with Tulane. And then I think Clemson will be here. I don't think they'll have more than 2 losses. They do play NC State on the road. And then, that could be a loss for them in the regular season. And then maybe they lose to Florida State, like I said, in the ACC championship. But still, that should be enough to get them there. It would be interesting if we have all these teams in here, and then you have Washington and Oregon and Utah, and maybe 2 or 3 of those teams are 10-2. Who gets in? It's definitely going to be tough, I think, for the committee if it plays out that way. But I think I'm going to go with the teams that we have here, Clemson and Tulane. But like I said, a lot could change and a lot will change before I make my official preseason predictions. This is just a way too early look at it. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. We're going to start our schedule preview / record projection series next week, where I give you a very early record projection for each team based off of just kind of their percentage chance to win each game, not official predictions or anything like that. We'll start that next week, so watch for those videos. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.